Hello viewers, welcome to another new video. Here I am Pramod. I would like to welcome all of you to my YouTube channel, and my YouTube channel name is Our English Classroom. And in this channel you will get several grammatical lessons as well as different spoken English lesson, and also I will teach you about how to give a perfect presentation in English. So let's get started. So in this video I will discuss about a very important topic, and that which is finite verb and non-finite verb. And many people get so many problem with this topic because these two terms, finite and non-finite, these are so identical that if you do not know the basic difference between these two things, then it will be very difficult for you to differentiate between these two. So let's get started. Well, so at first we'll discuss about the criteria of finite verbs. Okay, so look at the board please. Here the criteria says finite verbs always depends on tense. In English we got three basic tense with their four categories. So whenever we are writing any sentence, we need to follow a specific tense, and the verb, the main verb, that will guide me what form or what pattern it will follow according to the tense. So this verb is actually finite verb. So when you are making any sentence with simple present tense, you will apply the present form of your main verb. So if you are writing any sentence with a continuous form, then you will write the ing pattern of your verb with necessary auxiliary verbs. And if you are writing about any past tense sentence, so you will apply the verb in its past form. So this present form, past form, and another form which is past participle form, this forms goes with finite verbs. And according to different tenses, we will select our necessary form of the verb. So that is the reason finite verb all the time depends on tense. Next thing is that a finite verb always agrees with the subject. So whenever we write a verb, we need to follow the subject, because subject is always followed by a verb, and there needs to be an agreement between a subject and a verb, because a subject belongs to a person, and according to person and number, it means singular and plural thing. So we will select our required verb and obviously the correct form of the verb. So that is another reason that a finite verb must agree with your subject. Okay, then number C, it's known as the main verb of your sentence. So in English, the term verb, it is actually indicates the main verb, because in a sentence there might be several other verbs. So the main verb is the verb that agrees with the subject and that takes its form according to the tense. So this main verb is actually the finite verb. Alright, so the final one, number 4 is transitives can be turned into passives. A very important note. Why? We all know that in English, verbs can be classified into two more categories. One is transitive verb and another one is intransitive verb. And we all know that a verb that can take any object or that cannot express its full meaning without an object is called a transitive verb. And if your verb can express its meaning without any object, or it doesn't need any object to make it clear, so it is an intransitive verb. So we all know that when a verb is transitive, we can turn this verb into passive form. Okay, so this finite verb is the thing that we can change it into passive forms. But yeah, I'd like to mention one more thing. Some non-finite verbs can also be turned into passive. We'll talk about it later. Okay? So, and the most important thing is this number E. Whenever we need to make a clause, I repeat, whenever we need to make a clause, we need a finite verb, because if there is no finite verb, there is no clause. So keep that in your mind, that whenever you need to make a clause, whether it is principal clause or whether it's subordinate clause, just put the finite verb in your clause. Otherwise, that is not going to be called as a clause. Clear? So these are the criteria of finite verbs. And now we will take some examples. Like number one, she usually walks in the morning. So this sentence indicates the habit of a person. So according to habitual activity, it is called simple present tense. And here the verb work is in the present form, and it required an extra s form because our subject she belongs to third person singular subject, and that is the reason why this verb need an s to agree properly with the subject. So here we can clearly see that walks belongs to finite verb because it agreed with the subject she, and it took the present form because of the sentence belongs to present indefinite or simple present tense. Okay, then number two, she was informed about her grades. So this is a passive sentence. So here the verb informed, this is a finite verb because the pattern was informed. It's a passive pattern, and we all know that whenever we are using the past participle form of the verb with a auxiliary verb like am, is, or was, were, be, being, so that will be called a passive sentence, and here this verb is a finite form. And finally, look at the sentence number 3. I know the boy who got the highest mark. So this is a complex sentence with one principal clause and one subordinate clause, and in both the clauses we'll get two verbs. This is verb number 1 and this is verb number 2, and both of these verbs belongs to finite verbs. Alright, so these are the examples that are describing about the features of our finite verbs. Now comes to the non-finite verb. Remember one thing, non-finite verb is just having the opposite criteria of a finite verb. Okay, so how? As finite verb depends on tense, non-finite verb never depends on tense. It will never going to change its form according to the tenses. Suppose you are using past tense, but in a non-finite verb, it will take its original form. It will never going to change according to the tense. Clear? So very simple thing. In your sentence, if you want to identify the non-finite verb, just it can be a very easy clue that non-finite verb never changes depending on the tenses. Number 2, non-finite verb never agrees with the subject because it does not need to agree with the subject. Why? Because a subject is followed by a finite verb, and non-finite verbs is not a verb. It can be a noun, it can be an adjective, it can be the subject itself or the object itself. So these are the basic uses of non-finite verbs. So that is the reason non-finite verb does not follow the subject and it never agrees with the subject. Then only infinitive can sometimes be turned into passive. Well, I told you earlier that not every non-finite verb or not all category of non-finite verbs can be turned into passive sentences, but only the infinitive form, which is a kind of a non-finite verb, can turn into passive form. And finally, we cannot create clauses with non-finite verbs. Well, non-finite verbs can be a part of a clause. Non-finite verb can be a part of a subject. Non-finite verb can be a part of your object. Non-finite verbs can be part of your extension. So, it can be a phrase. Alright? So, these are the basic rules of identifying a non-finite verb. So, please take some examples over here. So, number 8. She ordered me to leave. Look at the sentence structure. So she ordered. Here, ordered is the finite verb and to leave. This is our non-finite verb because to leave belongs to infinitive. This is called infinitive and this will never going to change according to the tense. You can easily observe that ordered belongs to past tense. But to leave, it's not, it didn't take the past form left. So clearly spoken, a non-finite verb never need to follow the pattern of tense. Number 2, we want the work to be done. Look at the pattern. Here the form to be done. This is a non-finite form and a non-finite verb. And remember, this to be done is actually a passive of to do. To do, it has been turned into passive by to be done. So this is the thing, sometimes not only the infinitives but not always. In some situation infinitives can be turned into passives. Alright, number C, I found her swimming in the pool. Look at the sentence. I found her. I found is the finite verb. And here we got another verb, swimming, and we all know swimming is a name of an action. Well, fine, but remember, not all the time, because an action or you are doing something that can describe your situation, in what situation or in which condition and in which situation you are actually in. So here I found her swimming in the pool. This swimming is actually describing the girl's condition, how she was during that time, that is swimming in the pool. Okay, so here swimming in the pool, in this pattern swimming is a non-finite verb and this non-finite verb is known as participle. Well, now we will take some examples of different types of non-finite verbs. So I need to erase the previous section of the board. Alright, so a non-finite verb can be of 3 categories. Number 1 is infinitive. The pattern is using the preposition to and after that the base form of the verb. And verb needs to be in its base or basic form. After the word to, you can never use any type of ing form or v past participle form if you are making the infinitive. But if you are not dealing with infinitive thing, sometimes after the word to, you may get ing form of the verb. So that is a different thing. I will discuss about that topic in another video. So this is the one pattern of non-finite form. Number 2, gerund. It's also known as verbal noun, and as according to the definition verbal noun, it is clear that if your verb is working like a noun, if your verb can become the subject of your sentence, if your verb can become the object of your sentence, then it will be known as gerund. Alright? So very simple way to identify, and this gerund is nothing just the ing pattern of any verb. Remember, I would say the ing pattern of any sort of verb. Alright? And finally, non-finite verb got its final pattern, that is known as participle. And this participle thing is a little bit complex because participles can be again classified into 3 more categories, and these are: number 1, present participle. This one is the verb plus ing form. Number 2, past participle. This one is the past participle form or V3 form. And number 3, it's a little bit unusual in maximum sentences. This is known as perfect participle, which is sometimes takes the pattern of having plus V3 form. Okay, so these are the criteria of non-finite verb. And now remember one thing, that gerund is verbal noun. Gerund is verbal noun, and participle is verbal adjective. So what does it mean? It means if gerund can act like a noun, participle can act like an adjective. So that is the basic difference. So let me show the difference. If I write a sentence that swimming is a good exercise, in this sentence the swimming is the subject, and we all know a noun can be used like a subject. So here this ing form of the verb swimming is a gerund. But if I say I saw her swimming in the pool, in this sentence subject is I. This swimming is not object because I got the object her, and this swimming is actually describing the situation of the girl whom I saw, and that is the reason this swimming is not gerund, this swimming is participle. And remember one thing, anything that describes about any noun, any pronoun, any person or any object, that is actually adjective. So this swimming is participle, it is act like a adjective, and this swimming is a noun. So keep watching the video. I will show you the difference between present participle and gerund. And so this video, if you want to watch something more like this video, so please comment on please give me some comments. So that is all for today. I hope you have enjoyed the video. So see you in the next class. Till then, take care and goodbye.